You're watching News Central now on News Central Television. I am Likon Onobanjo. The top stories at this hour. Muslims across the world celebrate Eid al-Adha amidst insecurity and high cost of living. Nigeria police claim no 2020 NSAS protester in detention. Pope Francis calls for ceasefire in DR Congo. Details to come your way shortly. Start with Kabir celebration stories. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has called on Nigerians to make sacrifices for the betterment of the country. The president made this call while addressing journalists on the prayer ground in Lagos in commemoration of this year's al-Adha celebration. News Central's Bernard Akede tells us more in this report.
Al-Adha, also known as the Festival of Sacrifice, is one of the most significant celebrations in the Islamic world and on the Islamic calendar. It symbolizes the ultimate devotion and submission to God, memorializing Prophet Ibrahim's unwavering obedience to Allah's commands. However, in this year 2024, there have been challenges in celebrating this year's Eid. Many Muslim faithful, especially here in Lagos, have complained about how the economic situation has strongly been biting on the citizens and how challenging it has been for them to purchase certain food items which they would use to celebrate this year's Eid. Items like rice, pepper, tomatoes, and other cooking ingredients have clearly skyrocketed this year. And even on today, the day of Eid, some Muslims could still be seen purchasing rams which they believe they should have bought days ago. The prices of these two have hit the ceiling.
Like this big two, where you are seeing it now, somewhere they'll sell it for you 1.3, 1.2. Yes. Here, if you have a 750, 800, you carry it. Like last year, this one, if you get a 600 or 650. So see, the difference, we didn't put the high price.
While some Muslim faithful remained at home celebrating the festival with family and friends and visitors, others were able to visit malls and parks where they equally celebrated this year's Eid. In his address during the national Eid prayers, President Bola Tinubu reiterated the preaching of the chief imam, stating that Nigerians need to make sacrifices.
We have been told by the chief imam and we follow the path of sacrifice. Sacrifice being a very good citizen. It comes with responsibilities as citizens. What do you do as a citizen to be a very committed member of our society?
However, with the difficulty in purchasing food items and other items from the market because of the rising cost of living in Nigeria, these sacrifices may be difficult to ask of the citizens. Many Nigerians believe that if anyone should make sacrifices, it should be the ruling class. The hope and the wish of most Nigerians now is that following the prayers of this year's Eid, the leaders will hearken to the call of the citizens and ensure that Nigerians will be able to live affordable lives such that making sacrifices will not be a challenge for Nigerians and will be a priority for the ruling class. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
Also, Vice President Kashim Shettima and the Borno State Acting Governor Dr. Umar Kadafur joined thousands of Muslims to mark Eid al-Adha in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. The religious rite was observed under a peaceful atmosphere across both urban and rural communities. News Central's Marikarawa completes the reports.
In the early morning hours, Muslim faithful across the globe converged to observe 2 rak'at prayers in commemoration of Eid al-Adha, meaning the feast of sacrifice. It is one of the age-old Islamic tradition to honor the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his son Ismail as an act of obedience to God.
It was a very huge free Salah celebration, peacefully conducted here in Maiduguri, you can see. We are thanking Almighty Allah for that. People have come out in mass to perform their Eid prayers.
Alhamdulillah, askara kamaro. Ala fu ya kawe soro. Ala main desa maya desa lama so ala kolzo. Gumna desa sama. Ala fu ya kawe ruye.
Mu da kananan mu duka mu je mu hada kanmu mu yi sadaka mu yi walwalan mu ba hayaniya ba komai kuma ina kiran musulmai ga baki daya mu yi addu'a ga lafiya peace da kowaye manyan mu ba karami ba addini ba musulmi ba kristan mu hada
kuma muna cikin farin ciki da annashuwa da jin daɗi da ganin wannan rana na sallah a yau babbar sallah da muka shiga kuma an yayi lafiya an yi sallah lafiya an kare lafiya.
We urge Nigerians to pray for the peace in the land and for prosperity, and this is the agricultural season. We hope and pray that we'll get a bumper harvest that will address some of the food security challenges we are facing. Beyond that, we want to emphasize on peace. We have to cultivate peace, we have to promote peace, because there can never be development without peace.
The smiles on the face of the faithful reflect their resilience after experiencing years of untold hardships and insecurity.
I also want to enjoin all Muslims to be peace-abiding, and they should use this moment as a point of reflection to visit each other and pray for each other and pray for this nation, because this is what we need at this point of time. I want to appreciate the Vice President also for visiting Maiduguri to, witness this Eid with the Sheikh of Borno and the people of Borno State.
Following the prayers, Vice President Kashim Shettima and the state's acting governor, Dr. Umar Kadafur, alongside top government officials, engaged with residents sharing festive greetings. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The low-key ceremony that characterized the celebration of Eid al-Kabir by Muslims in Nigeria reflects the worsening economic situation in the country. The leader of the Hausa community in Aba, Sadikin Shehu Bello, stated this during an interview with our correspondent in Abia State. He said that most of his people in Aba could not slaughter rams due to the high cost. He also urged the government to restore peace so farmers could become more productive.
What we usually buy for 50, 70,000 naira, now you're buying it for 300,000. It's not everybody that can afford. It's not everybody, even in the north. So it really affects us immensely. Most of us, they not really travel. Without love, there won't be peace. Without peace, there won't be unity. Without unity, nothing will move forward. And we want this country to go beyond where we are. For me, I will say Nigeria, we are kind of stagnant. We are not moving anywhere because of lack of peace. As a matter of fact, there was no tomato in the market yesterday. There was no pepper in the market yesterday. It's because of lack of this peace. Bandits are disturbing us over there in the north. Here, when you come here, unknown government are disturbing, and so on and so forth. So we are pleading to the government to please come to our aid, provide more security so that there will be famine, so that food will be surplus.
Meanwhile, Muslims in Jos, the Plateau State capital, north-central Nigeria, joined their counterparts to celebrate Eid al-Kabir, also known as the Feast of Sacrifice. News Central's Chizomba Yonwe was at the Jos Fiber Mosque, where she caught some sights and sounds from where she filed in this report.
That was the atmosphere of prayers at the Jos Fiber Mosque, where both men and women gathered at their separate corners to pray and thank God for this year's Eid al-Kabir, also known as the Feast of Sacrifice. One of the things that stands out in this year's event is that it fell on a Sunday, where both Christians and Muslims are in the spirit of prayer and worship. Leading the prayers, the chief imam urged Muslim Ummah not just to celebrate wining and dining, but also to live according to the significance of Eid al-Kabir.
My message to the Ummah is, let them celebrate the Eid in peace, without any problem. Let us be happiness, be with the other people, share the happiness together.
Among the worshippers who spoke exclusively to News Central is Yusuf Gagdi.
This is a time for you to show love to people, irrespective of whether they are Muslim or Christians. It's a time for you to look at yourself, look at your position, particularly as Nigerians are passing through some teething economic trouble. It's a time for you to extend what you have.
Spending some time with some of the Muslim faithful in their own community was worth the while. However, those of them who agreed to speak on camera said despite the harsh economy, they are still grateful for life.
Just have to do it, whether there's hardship or there's no hardship. We continue to do it, inshallah, by the grace of God. And we are okay with it. We are just happy with it. We've seen this day. It's not everybody that has the opportunity to see the day. So we thank our God really.
A small rubber plant of tomato is almost 5,000 naira as of yesterday. Something of 800 naira or 700 naira. So people are finding it difficult to live in this condition.
And the most happiest thing is that we have been enjoying peace during Salah and other festivities.
While these Muslim faithful go about their normal businesses celebrating the Eid al-Kabir here on the plateau, it is expected that everybody continues to go about their lawful businesses without any breakdown of law and order. But as you can see behind me, some men of the security agencies are on the ground to ensure that everything about the celebration goes on and comes to an end peacefully. From the popular Old Airport roundabout in Jos, Chizoba Anyonwe, reporting for News Central.
Still from the northern region, we tell you that Adamawa State Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri joined hundreds of Muslims at the Sheleng local government Eid ground on Sunday to observe the 2 Rakat supererogatory prayers in celebration of the 2024 Eid al-Kabir. Chief Imam Lalwano Dankaka, in his sermon, emphasized the importance of slaughtering healthy animals for sacrifice, adhering to the traditions of Prophet Muhammad. The Chief Imam also offered special prayers for peace and tranquility in the country before symbolically slaughtering his ram, urging all capable Muslims to do the same. Governor Fintiri, in his address, encouraged Muslims to celebrate by fostering peace and unity and following the virtues of Prophet Muhammad. He expressed optimism that the current security challenges in the country would soon be resolved and called for continued promotion of peaceful coexistence and tolerance.
Grateful that we have lived to witness another Eid al-Kabir. This time, the year 2024, is our prayer that we follow the teaching of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we pray for peace, we pray for security. We know Nigerians are going through hardship, but we hope with prayers that there is light at the end of the tunnel. This is our wish for Nigeria, and it's the time that we need to come together, to work together with our leaders, and to also coexist.
The 16th Emir of Kano, Al-Haji Muhammadu Sanusi II, is said to have held a Salah Durbar in the ancient city. Earlier, the Emir led the Eid prayer and sermon at the Kofa Mata Jumat Mosque. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf and other cabinet members observed prayer with the Emir. The army, police, civil defense and others provided security. The Kano Police Command had earlier announced a ban on Salah Durbar after a joint security meeting in the state. However, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf expressed dissatisfaction with the decision, faulting how the police arrived at such without consulting him as the chief security officer of the state. Meanwhile, the dethroned Emir, Aminu Ado Bayero, also observed his prayer at the Nasarawa house, where he calmed after his dethronement.
Za mu ɗau wannan dama mu yi wa mai girma gwamna da shugaban ƙasarmu murnar zagayowar wannan rana da addu'ar Allah ya ci gaba da yi musu jagora. Muna kira a gare su da su ci gaba da bujiro da ayyuka da za su amfana wa al'umma da ƙoƙarin jaddada tsaron rayuwarmu, kiyaye dukiyar al'umma da lafiyarsu. Allah ya ba su ikon taimakawa al'umma da suka zaɓe su. Su kuma al'umma Allah ya ba su ikon yi wa shugabanni addu'a ta gari. Muna gode wa dukkan malamanmu da limamanmu da kullum suke huɗuba da wa'azi domin Allah ya ci gaba da gyara zukatan al'umma musamman matasa. Addu'o'i da suke yi ba dare ba rana Allah ya amsa. Allah ya ci gaba da kiyaye imaninmu da mutuncinmu da lafiyarmu. Muna ƙara yi wa iyaye nasiha don jajircewa wajen kula da tarbiyyar 'ya'yanmu da ɗora su.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's talk security now. The Nigeria Police Force says none of the protesters arrested during the October 2020 demonstration against the police brutality slogan and movement and extrajudicial killings is still in detention. Force spokesman Muyiwa Adejobi made this known in a statement on Sunday. The police described as untrue claims by Sheikh Husani, a former lawmaker who represented Kaduna Central Senatorial District, that some of the youths detained for the NSAS protest are still in custody. At a special dinner organized to mark Democracy Day held at the State House Conference Center in Abuja on June 12, Sani had said those who participated in the protest should also be considered champions of democracy. The former lawmaker had asked President Bola Tinubu to pardon those incarcerated over the NSAS protest in 2020. However, the police said the matter had been concluded and lessons had been learned. Away from that, troops of Operation Well Punch, while conducting clearance patrols, have killed 3 bandits along the Gona-Rogo-Eka axis of Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. The State Commissioner overseeing the Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, disclosed this in a statement on Sunday. Aruwan said 2 AK-47 rifles, 4 AK-47 magazines, and 81 rounds of 7.62mm ammunition were recovered after a fierce battle with the bandits. He added that the state governor, Ubasani, thanked the security forces for the feedback and commended the troops under the command of the General Officer commanding 1 Division, Nigerian Army, Major General MLD Zerazo. The Nigeria Customs Service has intercepted large consignments of illicit drugs, including cannabis indica, prohibited codeine and other illicit drugs from Canada and India. New Central's maritime correspondent Inyoma Obiasalu was at the press conference and filed in this report.
Customs Service has intercepted large consignments of illicit drugs, including cannabis indica, and prohibited codeine from Canada and India. Controller General of Customs Adewale Adeniyi, while addressing newsmen in Lagos, said beyond revenue loss, some port operators and officers of the service are suspected to be involved in the illegal drug imports. The intercepted drugs include 3 plastic drums of cannabis indica, 46 bags of cannabis indica, 877 packs of codeine syrup, and 82 cartons of other drugs valued at 4 billion naira. The CGC said intelligence indicated that several terminals were involved and there is abuse of procedures involving customs officers.
Ongoing attempts by some criminal elements using a network of customs agents, Nigeria Customs Service officers, terminal operators to undermine our system. We have seen recently a growing number of containers that are either not examined in the ports before they are released, or those that are stamped down into terminals They left the port on Transire, but they neither got to those ports, to those terminals, and some of them found their ways into the premises of the importers for whatever nefarious activities or the other. This amounts to a situation where our processes and our procedures are deliberately compromised for some selfish interests.
He also commended the customs area controller of Tinkan Port, Dera Nnadi, for the seizures, which according to him is evidence of dedication and hard work. In Lagos, for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
Today is World Father's Day. Father's Day is celebrated every year on the third Sunday of June in many countries, including Nigeria. News Central correspondent Austin Azu has a report on how fathers are navigating the nation's harsh economy as they mark the day in the country.
Father's Day is a day dedicated to honoring the fathers and father figures who played a significant role in their family and homes. It is a time to express gratitude for their love, support, and guidance. In Delta State, South Nigeria, the day was celebrated in various churches with different activities. Speaking of the significance of the day, some respondents urged fathers to be responsible and raise their children in the fear of God.
And this Fathering Sunday is drawing us back to our roots, to the nature and likeness of God that is in us, that brings us, that will cause us to show compassion, to show empathy, to our fellow men, to our children, to our family, that will help the family to grow and help the family to be united.
Children are very, very good observers. They see their father as a symbol, and just like we see God as our symbol. So the standard must be maintained at all times. God is there for us. No, we are weak as fathers, but He has a way of strengthening us. But we must have this Bible at all times, the Word of God at all times, and prayer at all times.
In the gaze of current economic challenges in the country, the Bishop, Diocese of Asaba Anglican Communion, Right Reverend Kingsley Obu advises men on how to navigate the tough times.
Our encouragement to Christian men is, first of all, to learn to live by faith. That is to say, cease to look only on what you have, what you can afford, and begin to practice looking up to God. But then I must add that everybody must now learn to live different from how we used to do before. You must make it your aim to teach your family what it means to manage, what it means to live within means, what it means to plan, what it means to budget, what it means to be disciplined with the resources, what it means to be disciplined with everything available.
The role of fathers in shaping the lives of their children and families cannot be taken lightly. As such, it is imperative for men to remain steadfast in upholding the values of fatherhood and remain instrumental in uplifting their homes and indeed the nation. In Asaba, for News Central, Austin Azu.
More reactions have continued to trail the federal government's plan to deduct 20 trillion naira from pension funds for infrastructure development. Some economists said the government has no business with the investment returns of the citizens. The federal government in dire needs to cheap funds to finance its huge infrastructure deficit, currently at $3 trillion, had disclosed plans to pull 20 trillion naira from pension funds to finance infrastructure. Pension funds appear to be the best source of long-term capital to finance long-term investments like infrastructure development. However, stakeholders have raised concerns about the appropriate utilization of the fund to deliver world-class infrastructure that would benefit the production sector, attract more investment into the country, and translate into financial returns. So,
is borrowing from the pension funds. But there's a whole world of difference between assuming you are the custodian of the pension funds and the federal government, I walk up to you to say, give me 5 trillion. That's different from when those, the federal government floats bonds, and then the monies from pension funds are invested in bonds or in government securities or in treasury bills is already happening. So the question whether the federal government is going to take money, they're already taking money.
The fear is if this pension fund, which is meant to be money kept aside for senior citizens who are retirees so that they can have something to keep body and soul together to the end of their life. If government borrows this fund, will government pay on schedule?
Joining me on the news to share his thoughts on this is Ladipo Johnson, National Publicity Secretary, New Nigeria People's Party. Ladipo Johnson, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thanks for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, yeah, the federal government had promised that the rule governing the access of the pension funds would be strictly adhered to, and it also went on to say that it will not be taken more than the approved percentage. So judging by this response or this reaction by government, isn't that enough to show that the government needs to be trusted when it comes to accessing these funds?
Thank you. The issue, I think, is not the government being trusted or when it comes to accessing the funds. I think that overall, you would see that the stakeholders in the industry, the union of pensioners from different states, the constant thing there is that they have no confidence that when the money or if the money is borrowed, it will be properly managed. And there is this fear that that could lead to problems with retirees further up or in the future. So the thing there is that pension funds are already being invested in bonds, in securities, government securities. Now, have the returns come back from that? Where are you pulling out from? If you want to pull out from the fund. So those are the issues. The stakeholders are unanimous in the fact that they are not comfortable with the federal government of Nigeria dipping its hands into the funds because they feel that government is not well, over the years anyway. And now they feel that government is not to be trusted. They're not saying they won't follow legal means to get it out. It's the management of it and the return of it that is at issue. You see, if Nigerians see that government is doing other things to raise funds, government is cutting its costs, but no one has seen anything like that. They haven't seen it. So the pensioners and stakeholders in the industry are alarmed. If you're borrowing here, borrowing here, borrowing here, now if you borrow from us, where are we in the pecking order for the return of this loan? Well, that is the crux of it.
At the end of the day, everything boils down to the issue around trust. Well, this is a new administration. Aside from the fact that it is spending monies and there seems not to be enough record or some sort of management in terms of how these funds are being expended. A lot of people feel that these funds, according to what the government has said, will be channeled towards infrastructural development, and that would mean that this project would benefit quite a lot of people. Don't you also think that way in the line of what the government is trying to achieve with these funds?
It will benefit a lot of people. The issue is at what cost? This is Nigeria. And the average Nigerian believes that if that project is 50 naira, it will go out for 500 naira. Is that a judicious utilization of the pension funds? They don't think that it is. So unfortunately, while you say it's a new administration, the people are prejudiced. They have prejudged government because they've seen a lot in the past, and they see the rate at which the present administration has gone a borrowing, as we say. So if you're an institution, for instance, and you know that that person coming to you has borrowed from here, borrowed from here, borrowed from here, and is finding it difficult to repay, would you lend to the person? You wouldn't want to. So
but then,
that is the fear.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. But then let's look at it this way. This fund is being borrowed, which means that it will be paid back with dividends. And some people say that, well, they see it as a form of reinvestment, like reinvesting rather, this kind of funds that is to be accessed, and could be a win-win situation for both the government and the people. What do you think?
Fantastic. Could be. Your English is, it could be. You're not, you won't say it will be, it shall be. We're not saying it shall be. And the people whose funds are there, invested, who've been working hard and are hoping to retire soon, they're afraid. They're afraid. In theory, it is all right. But the practical aspect of it now is the issue.
So are you saying that there are no forms of checkmates? We have a legislative arm that is meant to deal or peruse over...
Legislative, I'm just, because we're on the news, I want to save you time.
Please.
The legislative arm of government is a rubber stamp arm. Even the last Senate president said, oh, we're a rubber stamp. So, you see, these are the things. The optics are not good. In theory, there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
But Nigerians are afraid. The optics are not good. They're afraid to say, oh, we should be more secure than anything to say our government can take this. You understand? But they're afraid. They don't believe that when it is taken, it will be judiciously used and it will come back at the right time.
Okay, well, you keep saying that this government keeps borrowing, and we understand. Now, are there alternatives? If you're saying that the pension fund should not be touched, are there alternatives to getting cheap funds to finance the huge deficits currently at $3 trillion? Is there a way out?
I'm not the CBN governor, neither am I the Minister for Finance of the country. I'm a lawyer, not an economist. But I tell you, as I said, people look at what is happening, look at the economy overall. And this government seems to be, I don't want to be attacking, seems to be a tax and spend government. So what Nigerians see at the moment is that they hear, oh, maybe VAT will be increased. Oh, some cyber tax or so that has been suspended. Oh, this, oh, that. They don't see Senate saying that because of this country, what is going on in the country, you understand, we are cutting our costs. No one has heard that. They don't see, okay, maybe I think something like that was said the other day. But look at it. Look at Senegal, for instance. Because of the cost of living crisis, you heard that they've reduced taxes or canceled some taxes for now. They've done this, they've done that. We are not seeing that in Nigeria. Government's take is get as much revenue as possible and spend on this and that and that. Whereas some of us, not an economist, but some of us are saying that we've seen other models where government doesn't take as much from the people. Government tries to reduce its costs. Then it makes it cheaper for you and I to invest. It makes it cheaper. Customs, tariffs, etc. Close to nothing for you and I to come in so that the costs, the inflation will drop.
Okay.
You understand? When that happens, you know, all these things take time. When that happens, then more people can invest. More people will come into the economy. And then the taxes that you've been reduced, you will collect from more activities, more economic activities. And then government has more.
All right.
So then, these are various things that should be looked at. But unfortunately, as I said, on paper, there's nothing wrong with it. But the people have no confidence and are afraid about their life savings being in the hands of government in this manner.
All right, Ladipo Johnson, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Quite interesting and insightful too.
Thank you.
Yeah. In Nigeria's northeast, communities are grappling with the aftermath of several years of insurgency. Amidst the devastation, stories of resilience and survival are emerging. Abba Ashiga, a survivor of a Boko Haram bomb blast, has turned his personal tragedy into a beacon of hope for others. News Central's Mark Rawa tells us more in this report about Ashiga, now a graduate of statistics.
Families have been displaced, lives shattered, yet amidst the rubble, there are glimmers of hope. Local residents are refusing to be defined by the violence, binding together to support one another in their times of need.
With the blink of an eye, the bomb blasted. I was one of the survivors, me and my father, but unfortunately, my little younger brother couldn't make up. He instantly passed away immediately after we were rushed to the hospital's accident and emergency unit.
Abba Ashigar was just a teenager when a bomb blast ripped through the mosque. He was praying with his family members and others, forever changing his life.
The numbers of injury I sustained in that horrific scene is something I couldn't wish for my worst enemy ever. The least bit long, but I am perfectly better now. I sustained a fracture at the distal end of my humerus bone, which is the reason why I cannot supinate nor pronate very well, as you can see. And it is the reason why I don't have full extension of my hand, and it is the reason why I cannot graft very well. Because of the fracture I sustained here, I cannot hold defend. I have to learn from A to Z afresh, and I have to recall back everything in life.
Despite these challenges, Ashigar persevered. He is spearheading initiative to empower persons with disabilities across Nigeria, advocating for inclusive policies and access to education and employment.
My biggest fear is how can I make it in life after this amputation? So when I told myself I have to work it, that's why I come up with an organization called Accessible Independent Lifestyle Initiative. It's a non-profit, non-organization solely focused on empowering persons with disability.
Da kurma, da makafo, da gurgu, da kuturu, muna da mutum tushabul lakal gama muna da mutum 20,000 da wani abu. Wannan Boko Haram da ya shiga, musamman na kasassu an same su da yawa. Wasu a guduwa sun karye, wasu an harbe su sun an yanke musu kafa, wasu sun yi accident.
Their hope is a society where every person, regardless of their background or abilities, can contribute and succeed.
I am facing so many challenges, building challenges, student challenges, and even the educational challenges. Here in this country, people living with disability have been left out, and it is not too late for us to come together and make disability included and accessible in our society. So government is the #1 priority in our place, so that they can see, they can give a fund, or they can have a ministries, or they can have anything, or they can have a rules and regulation that will try to specifically govern people living with disability.
Mai girma gwamnan jihar Borno ba wai baya yi bane yana yi, muna son a kara, aka ce kogi ma bai kidadi ba, a taimaka mana a kara tallafa mana, mu ma fi kananan karfi ne.
While the number of persons living with disabilities keeps increasing across the nooks and crannies of the society, inclusive policies that will give those affected the hope to push on is advocated. It is also expected that members of the society should find ways of supporting persons with special needs instead of pity or stigmatization. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
We talk health now. Medical experts have warned that the latest cholera outbreak may spread to many communities and states in the country during the Kabir celebration if necessary measures were not quickly taken to limit the spread of the acute diarrhea infection. The experts warned that the increase in travel over the holiday season might result in a rise in cholera cases. This comes as the Lagos State government confirmed 15 deaths from the infection. Cholera is a food and waterborne disease caused by the ingestion of the bacteria Vibrio cholerae in contaminated water and food. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention also warned the public of the increasing trend of cholera cases across the country as the rainy season intensifies. We also tell you that the United Nations Children's Fund has issued a stark warning about the heightened risks faced by children under the age of 5 during cholera outbreaks. UNICEF said children under this age limit are particularly susceptible to severe dehydration and increased mortality rates. In a statement released on Saturday, Celine Lafocrare, chief of UNICEF's Lagos field office, emphasized the urgent need for state policies to prioritize the provision of high-quality water and sanitation facilities. She also called for a robust healthcare system capable of meeting the increased demands during cholera outbreaks. Lafocrare highlighted that recurrent cholera outbreaks pose significant health threats, with young children being the most vulnerable. Pope Francis has deplored the clashes and massacres of civilians in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. He called on national authorities and international communities to do everything possible to put an end to the violence. Nearly 150 people have died since the beginning of June in eastern DRC in killings attributed to the ADF group affiliated with the terrorist organization in the Islamic State. According to data from local authorities and civil society, these include 42 people during a massacre committed overnight from Wednesday to Thursday.
In sports, Rangers International have been crowned champions of the Nigeria Premier Football League with a game to spare. The Flying Antelopes achieved this huge feat when they beat Pendel Insurance 2-0 at the Cathedral, Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium on Sunday, with other results working in their favor. The win took Rangers to 67 points at the top after their closest rivals, Remo Stars and Enyimba, dropped points. The title makes it the 8th MPFL trophy in their cabinet, and they will cut away with a prize money of 150 million naira, as well as a ticket to the CAF Champions League. Remo Stars lost away by 2-1 to Sunshine Stars in Akure, while relegation-threatened Sporting Lagos grabbed the vital 2-1 win over Enyimba to keep their hopes alive. Former Europa League champions and Spanish La Liga giants Sevilla are set to complete a free transfer for Super Eagles winger Chidera Ejuke. Ejuke is currently a free agent after leaving Belgian Pro League outfit Royal Antwerp. The 26-year-old spent the 2023-2024 season on loan at Antwerp from Russian club CSKA Moscow. He scored 3 goals in 29 league appearances in Belgium for Antwerp. The pacey winger's contract with CSKA Moscow will expire at the end of June. Ukraine coach Sergei Rebrov said it was vital for the team to participate at the Euro 2024 to show the spirit of a country ravaged by war. The former Dynamo Kiev and Tottenham striker led Ukraine to a 4th successive appearance at the competition, despite the backdrop of the largest European conflict since World War II. Ambassadors from the European Union's 27 member states agreed in principle on beginning accession negotiations with Ukraine on the 25th of June. More than 1 million Ukrainians have found refuge in Germany since the outbreak of war, and Rebrov expressed his gratitude to the Euro 2024 host nation for all the aid his country had received. Rebrov said he received countless messages from people back home, including those fighting on the front lines, ahead of Monday's opening match against Romania in Munich. And that's a wrap on Sport Updates. I am Udoka Njoko.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, we take a look at some of our top stories. Muslims across the world celebrate Eid al-Adha amidst insecurity and high cost of living. Nigeria police claims no 2020 NSAR protester in detention. Pope Francis calls for a ceasefire in DR Congo. Do send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on your screen. You can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. And you can equally watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Likon Onobanjo.